everyone, Roger and James here from the DisKingdom Podcast. In this episode, we're going to be talking all about the brand new Star Wars Trilogy that got announced last week, kind of dropped out of the thing. It'll be done by the director that is doing The Last Jedi. It's going to be a trilogy. We don't know the release date, we don't know the names, we don't only know the first director. We know it's not going to be based around the Skywalkers. They're going off in someone's. We don't know necessarily what era it's going to be in. We don't really know a lot, but new Star Wars trilogy, big news really. I wasn't really surprised by this.
I don't think anyone was surprised. I mean, I think it was more of a surprise that they felt the need to announce it, because I kind of assumed that was where they were going with it in the first place. So
yeah,
but like you said, the real question is, when is it going to take place? The obvious answer is that it continues the trend and we move forward another 20, 30 years. Rey and Finn and whoever survives the current trilogy are now the veterans, and the new generation comes along. But I'll be honest, I would love if they'd go into the past. Let's go all the way back to like the Knights of the Old Republic era and start establishing some of that.
I've seen a lot of discussion about that. Personally, I wouldn't mind actually them just filtering off a little bit and kind of just doing some stuff that's going on with the First Order in other characters. Maybe just make a Finn movie, or just do something with Poe Dameron, or just literally just to kind of fluff out their characters a little bit. Something away from so it's not connected to, you can name drop Skywalker and Darth, but it's just make the bad guys, I mean, Captain Phasma, the book, would make a great movie. It's there's so many books that they could do. I worry a bit with them jumping around timeline a bit too much. I would like them just to kind of go, this movie is happening at the exact same time like Avengers and like the Marvel stuff. It's happening, and it intertwines with the other one, but at the same time, don't keep going backwards. Just keep going forwards. I am a little bit like, stop going backwards. Just,
Yeah, I think they need to stop obsessing over the first Death Star, for one thing, because so many of the books that they've released, so many of the stories they've released have been about kyber crystals and the Empire stealing metal from worlds and stuff like that. Let's move into that era between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens and start fleshing that out. You got 40 years of almost completely untouched territory.
Yeah, there's a load there, because as well as that, it'd be nice to sort of see a little bit of how the First Order came about, a bit more of how that kind of came about. Because, I mean, I think, especially like for me, the last 2 years, I've actually read about 5 Star Wars novels. And I never read Star Wars novels. So now I'm like, I feel like I've got so much more back history of what's been going on lately. And maybe it's, that thing of, I can see now why these books and stuff do get popular. But I do like the idea with this trilogy. They go all out. Like this Han Solo movie, I'm a bit like, we know Han Solo, just like, do we need it?
I mean, yeah, that's the other thing, though. You're mentioning like maybe a Poe Dameron movie, a Finn Phasma movie, something like that. I mean, they're going to continue doing these anthology titles, so this trilogy will be separate from anthologies. It'll keep them going, in a mainline story of some sort, and that doesn't preclude them doing a Poe Dameron. I would love, like an old World War II style movie where they're doing space combat and all sorts of swashbuckling adventures, like the old freaking John Wayne movies of yesteryear and all that stuff. But the fact that there is a trilogy coming shouldn't be news to anybody, and the fact that they're announcing a trilogy, frankly, is barely newsworthy in itself, and yet here we are talking about it. They need to give us details. We need to know, is this in the future? If it's in the future, how far in the future it is? Is it going to take place between Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens? Is it going to take place 1,000 years before the prequels happen? Until they really come out and start giving us information, it's kind of like, cool, it's a thing we knew was coming anyway.
And I mean, let's be honest, we've still got Han Solo next year, we've got Last Jedi next month, we've got Han Solo, we've got Episode 9, I think we've still got the Obi-Wan Kenobi movie, because that's official. Is that official now?
I don't, to be honest, I'm not sure anymore what are the official movies.
And there
know
was a Boba
that,
Fett movie that's been floated around.
Yeah, there was Boba Fett. I think Yoda's been floated around as an idea. But again, I would actually...
Because I don't know if like Han Solo is going to be like a different trilogy. These Star Wars stories really that lets them flesh out stuff. But this is going to be a new trilogy, so it's interesting to see what they're doing.
And you know what? In addition to them announcing this trilogy, they did also announce the live-action TV show.
We'll be doing that
to start. Oh yes, we will. In 2019, but that is another. Yeah. You know, and it's closer. Like you said, we've still got several movies to go before we have to worry about this trilogy. So, I mean, that's really the news that's kind of interesting.
Yeah. I mean, in one way, it's like Clone Wars that they just let. I mean, it's a bit like between Episode 3 and Episode 4 that we don't really know what happened a lot in that era, and whether or not they want to flush that out. I think, as well as I do think Disney are a little bit in the zone of they want to keep selling the merchandise about Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader. So maybe even some Darth Vader movies or something like that to kind of go with the zone of maybe make him a badass and show him in his height as a villain, taking out people not connected with before Rogue One. You know, there's so much stuff that they could do that. You know, and filter it in a little bit of just the Empire just gaining control, because I think they will want to do stuff with Darth Vader.
They will, and it's kind of interesting because at the moment that has become kind of the territory of the comic books. They had the first Darth Vader comic series, which focused right after A New Hope, but now there's the current one, which is pretty much right after Revenge of the Sith, and they're showing Darth Vader not as this amazing badass, but actually as a person still getting used to the suit, who's still kind of coming to terms with the person he's become. He's not nearly as strong as he will later be. It's been an interesting series, but even between that, you've still got, 17 years between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope. There's plenty of room for stories where he's just like, yep, I'm chasing down rebel cells.
And I think as well, like with the way that they did the computer generation in Rogue One, it's changed up the thing, and they can actually do stuff with some of these characters that, they can use the Emperor and stuff, and just computer generate them in, and I think it worked.
In fairness, for the Emperor, all you need is a guy in a hood, and you just hide his face. Put a lot of white, craggly makeup on, and it doesn't really matter. You just kind of do the enigmatic, he's the mysterious shadow person. But, I mean, you could get Tarkin back in. You can get some of the other guys who are around that Death Star table in the iconic scene, Tag and Mahdi and those guys. But I do hope they keep that to a minimum, because there's some severe uncanny valley going on there.
Yeah, I would like much more based around the First Order and just focus on this era and just flesh out a little bit of what's going on. That's for me. But we'd love to know your thoughts on the upcoming Star Wars trilogy and what you guys think, what you're hoping it might be. Let us know in the comments or get in touch with us on the different social medias. As per usual, you can like, follow, and subscribe on whichever video or audio platform you are watching or listening this on. And you can go check us out on our website as well, DisKingdom.com. James, where can they find you?
Find me, HeroicLegacy.com.
And on that, I guess, thank you very much for joining us. We'll be back soon. Later.